right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, in studio, joined today, as always, by Randy Angston. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are we doing today?
Today is a great day
It's a wonderful
because
day.
we have a special guest in the house, all the way from Minnesota.
That's right.
Trevor Wittwer of Coach Catalyst is in the house to talk all things technology, his story. He's a vendor at the FitPro Growth Summit. We're excited to have him actually in studio today. Welcome to the show, Trevor.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, this place is amazing. I'm used to my podcast being like Zoom or doing, and so it's like doing in-person stuff is cool.
Yes, we love doing in-person stuff. In fact, for the first 100 episodes, we wouldn't do a Zoom one because we were really focused on having the people here.
Yeah,
We're on a big guest push lately. I think this is like 4 or 5 in a row that we've had guests on, which is kind of wild, but awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm saying.
happy to be here. My place is awesome.
So Trevor, if you didn't know, if you're watching us on YouTube, he just came off the farm. He was out there farming and getting the hay ready, and the milk was milked today.
The milk was milked.
How tall are you, brother?
I'm officially 6'5.5", but it's 6'6", 6'7" on the roster.
On the roster.
Yeah. So you played basketball?
I did. Yeah, I was a hooper pretty much since about 5 years old. So yeah, I was fortunate to run through the ranks and make a living at it for a few years after college, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
Nice.
which is what. So let's get into your story. So I think a lot of our listeners have probably heard of the software, the app, Coach Catalyst. I know I've heard it. I've used it. I've looked inside of it. This is the founder of it. There's a great story behind it. Why don't you give everybody a little background kind of on you?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I got in the fitness industry early, mainly for like sports performance. Was always like, how do I get that next little bit out of performance? And so, that was really the goal moving on. And then once I got done with my playing days, I'm in a fairly small town. And so it's like, well, if you want to make a living in this industry, you're probably going to serve the fat loss market or the kind of the older adult market. And so, like a lot of coaches, I just started training my mom and my stepdad in the local community center.
Yep.
And then boot camps were all the rage at the time. And so we kind of started like a local boot camp. We were training people on like a basketball court. I had those like Dave Smith, I think is his name, the RBT guy. And we had these like 41-inch bands, and like I didn't have any money at the time, so it was like everyone's got to buy their own bands, and then like we'll just like pull each other around the basketball court, right?
Little resistance.
Yeah. So that's really where it started, and I got enough of a foothold where I kept good track of my numbers early on, and we got to about 70, 80 clients that I was working with. And at that point, it was like, okay, we've got enough to move into a new space, because ultimately I wanted to have my own gym. And so we found a building in town. It was just like a rundown old dry cleaners that had been abandoned and empty for 10 years. And we just renovated ourselves and kind of did one piece at a time. The building's about 6,000 square foot, so it's a pretty large facility. But we didn't have enough money, so we're like, okay, cool, we'll do like the first third of it. And then we renovated that, moved everyone into it, got some more clients, and we did the next third, and then we did the next third as we got cash available. And so then we were able to kind of build the first iteration. Like, and in this time too, like I'm doing everything, right? Like I'm coaching every class, I'm coaching every client. And I was able to finally bring on some people and then start to expand from there. And so at that facility, we really cared about the coaching aspect of clients. It wasn't just like come in, run through workouts and get out. It was like, hey, how do we help you change your life? And I was deep into precision nutrition and kind of drinking that Kool-Aid and got through level 1 and level 2. And so we were doing a lot of like habit-based coaching and also challenges. Challenges were huge at that time. And they're still pretty big for us.
What year was this?
So this is probably let me think about it, probably 2015, 2018, when we were getting into it. So like the 6-week challenge was it was kind of novel at that point, and that was a huge lead generator. And so we were running challenges with like 100, 120, 150 people in one 6-week challenge. Like, they were stupid.
That was the Facebook days.
That was the day,
right? And so it was easy. But what happened was when you start to scale, the quality of coaching just falls off because you just can't do it without more people. So we didn't have more people. So we were giving people like pamphlets and it was just a messy experience. And so ultimately what happened one time was I had a client jump on the InBody at the end of a challenge. And our promise during the challenge was for them to lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks. And so she'd actually gained weight. And it was like the worst feeling in the world as a coach, because you're like,
wait a minute, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm supposed to help you be successful. And the reason I mean, she was showing up for workouts, she was doing all that stuff, but we didn't have a good idea on or good control over the nutrition aspect. And so, we had given her all the information, just wasn't executing. And so that was kind of the aha moment, is like, hey, we need something to be with our clients when they're not in our facility. Like, I want to know on a day-to-day basis how my clients are doing.
See, what you're saying right there is a big wake-up call for a lot of gyms.
Oh yeah.
Some gyms or trainers right there would be, it's their fault.
It's not my responsibility.
But you took it the other way. You're
100%.
We failed this lady. And yeah, it's a horrible feeling, right?
Yeah, and that's, as a coach, me personally, and some people may feel differently about this, but I take responsibility for my clients' results, right? They come to me for a reason, and if they're not doing the things they need to do, I need to figure out why. Like, is it too challenging? Have we not set up the right environment? Like, what's going on? Did we read it wrong at the beginning? Maybe we set the wrong path from the beginning. But I take a lot of responsibility as a coach in figuring out, like, hey, if you're not successful, like, part of this is my fault. Yeah, you got to do the work, but like, I need to figure out how to make sure you're doing the right work. And sometimes we need to change the path, or maybe that goal wasn't the right goal, and that's okay. So we basically decided, and my buddy Kane, the co-founder of Coach Catalyst, was in Madison, Wisconsin at the time, and we talk a lot, just kind of talking about frustrations, and he was kind of going through a similar thing. And so we're like, all right, there's nothing on the market right now that serves this idea of like habits and education and like the true coaching process. There's like workout builders out there and all of that, but like, we don't need another workout builder. We're working with people in person. And so we need the other 23 hours of the day, and really an education piece. And so we need to be able to educate our clients in a systemized manner, rather than like, hey, here's your 20-page PDF with all the information that you need for nutrition. Good luck. Hopefully you're successful with it. And so there wasn't anything on the market. So we're like, all right, like we'll figure it out. Like, that's kind of our mentality, is like, we'll just figure it out. And we can't write a line of code or do any of that. So we just like, you go find the right people to start building it.
Yeah, and so it was an idea to fix your problems at your gym,
100%.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And you've got 4 locations now, right?
Yeah, so we expanded, and actually the next 3 locations we actually bought. And so I'm a bigger fan now of buying businesses than I am of starting them from scratch.
Yep, sure.
I'd rather buy a business and tweak the business model than come into a community, unless there's like a competitive advantage somehow. But like, buying a business that already has MRR, that already has revenue, that's already cash flowing, and being able to just come in and provide a better experience, you can just get up and running so much faster and get profitable so much faster than like starting from scratch. So yeah, they just kind of like came out of the market, and it made sense with what we were doing, and we scooped them up.
Yeah, and you see, and I don't know, there's these business sales websites that you see a lot of gyms on there. You see a ton of gyms. You see a lot of franchise gyms, and they're like peanuts for what you can buy them for, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, if you guys are looking to expand, take it from Trevor, buy an existing business. Obviously, you want to look for red flags in a situation.
100%.
But I would agree. Like, think about starting from scratch again. Versus, hey, this is kind of half-ass good. Let's just tweak it, So.
Well, really, when you're buying a business too, you're buying a list, right? Yeah. You're building a group of people that at least at some point raised their hand and said, hey, I'm somewhat interested in fitness. And a lot of business owners just don't run good businesses, or they had used really outdated practices, or they didn't care about the clients. And so many times if you can find if it's the right location, I think is more important than anything else. Like convenience, I don't think people give convenience enough clout, credit in the world. Like, just being able to go 2 minutes to get to the gym is a huge factor.
Well, that's something that you asked me. How close are you? Because you've never been here before. He walked in. He's like, great place. How close are you to homes? And you could look out that window. There's a whole bunch of rooftops right there.
Yeah.
We get a lot of clients from that neighborhood right there. Just walk right over, right? And so, in my notes on my podcast, we like come up with ideas for podcasts. Location is the number. I said location is the number 1 driver of growth.
Yeah,
it just is.
I think. Even to the marketing aspect. The greatest return on any investment that we've done for marketing is a banner up front.
Yeah.
We only have so little availability with the town of Scottsdale, but the ROI is stupid. Right. With the number of cars that drive by every day and stuff. And they come in, they go, well, I've lived here for 10 years, never knew you were here. Right. Like, what? Yeah. And that goes to show, like, the ease of doing business, convenience. Right. We always preach that stuff. Too many people like make it hard to do business with you. People want, if you make it easy, they will be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's There's no better way than
which
a
is
great
the
location.
opposite of what the CrossFit model is. Go to the back of
Back
some
of some door,
industrial business park,
Right.
Get the cheapest rent possible, have a no air conditioning and a roll up door, and hope for the best. And that's why you see failure all over the place.
Well, and that you're also creating an environment or an experience that's the same, right? I don't want to say every, but how many CrossFit facilities look and feel just like that?
A lot.
And, you know what I mean? The workouts are pretty much the same.
Yep.
Like you as an independent business, you're not bringing anything to the table. You're just serving another version of the gym down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So right on. So you created Coach Catalyst, solve a problem, habits based, and that started what, 18?
Yeah, so we started. So we'll be 7 this year with Coach Catalyst. So what does that put us back into 2016? Yeah. So we'll be 7 this year with Coach Catalyst, and it was really originally called Habit Catalyst. Okay. And like one thing that we did a little bit different than maybe other tech companies is we didn't go out and raise a bunch of money right away. We're like, hey, we have this idea. We're going to go raise, $1 million, $2 million seed round, and then try and build this thing. And hopefully the market wants it, which we see with a lot of companies, right? And then you lose everyone's money, but because you find out the market, we didn't get it right. So, so we were playing with our own money
backwards. Yeah.
And we had 20K. All right, what can we do with 20K that's going to help, get us more users, right? Because we need more people paying. And then how does it make the experience better for our current users? Mm-hmm. And so it was always this game of like, all right, we have this much money, and then what do we build? Which I think forced us, one, it took a lot longer, right? Because you just can't go as fast, which is one of the downsides of not taking money. If you know something is going to be a hit in the marketplace, by all means, take money and go because you want to be fast. But we were really playing with our own, so we had to go slow. But it forced us to like create probably the right thing rather than what we thought everyone wanted, because like it's our own money. Like I don't want to just throw 20K down the ground or throw it down the drain, right?
Yep.
And so we did a lot of research. We talked to coaches a lot. We got on the phone with people like, is this something that you actually want? And was this something that was going to serve a large amount of people?
Talking about a new feature.
Yeah, like a new feature. Because like we'll have people that come to us all the time and say, hey, I would love the software to do this. And we're like, well, that's kind of a you problem. I need a 10,000 coach problem. And so that's the only way this is going to work because software is so expensive. And so, it really forced us to like be really, really cognizant about like, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? And we've always looked at it through the lens of like coaching. What is really, really good coaching? Mm-hmm. And what do the best coaches do? And so we've kind of really boiled it down into 3 things. So the best coaches educate. They tell you what to do, how to do it, why you're doing it. And they educate you through the process. Yeah. Right. And then the second one is coaches hold you accountable to that process. And so there's certain things that need to be done, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, that need to be accomplished in order to move closer to this goal. And most coaches, that's the gap that they miss, is I tell you to do something, but then you go away and I don't really know if you're executing on it until we meet again, maybe 2 weeks later, a month later. And then you're like, this thing came up, that thing came up, and I didn't get it done. And you're like, oh, awesome. We wasted 2 weeks and 4 weeks of our time, right? When if I would have known right away, like one thing that we've prioritized in the software is I know every single day how my client's doing. And so we have what's called an at-risk profile. So if someone misses or doesn't check in for 3 days, like it shows up right in front of you on your dashboard. Perfect. So you're like, cool, I need to coach that person.
Yeah.
And then the third one is connection. So the best coaches connect with their clients. Connection builds trust, and then that facilitates the coaching process. So we have really prioritized communication within the software, especially as you're seeing a lot of people moving online or moving into a hybrid approach. We take it for granted in the offline world. We get connection just because people show up.
Yeah.
And we look them in the eye, we high five, we fist bump, and you build relationships just naturally. You see someone 3 days a week for a year, you're going to have a relationship with them. You don't have to work very hard at that. But if you go in the online world, like you maybe meet with someone initially on like the sales call, and then maybe you do a call once a month, or maybe you run a group program where they don't even see you necessarily. Right. And so we have to think about connection and relationship building much differently. And what we've really prioritized is video, because like if you watch someone on video, whether they're interacting with you or not, they're gonna create a connection with you. And then when they do see you in person, they're gonna feel like they actually know you. So we encourage coaches to do a lot of video through their educational process. And then we've also instituted technology where a coach can just pull up their phone, hit the video button, and record a video to their client.
Smart.
Right? Because like if I get a text message from my coach and I get a video message from my coach, they could say the exact same thing, but they're perceived completely different.
Oh yeah, I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my tone, I mean, just through when I write stuff, comes across very cold, very blunt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I articulate something, it's a little bit different, you know what I mean? You can hear that inflection in the tone, and video especially, when you could see somebody's expressions and things like that.
And that's really how we connect with people, right? That's how relationships are built. We start to see the nonverbal communication, the mannerisms, the tics that people have, and that's really what starts to build a deep relationship. And then we also do audio too, because sometimes it's easier to just send a voice text. Like, hey, I just checked out your stuff for the day. Looks awesome. If you have any questions, just hit me a note back, right? Way different than typing it out.
Good job.
So
with an emoji.
With an emoji.
Yeah, right.
So I would imagine you probably have a lot of online coaches.
Oh yeah.
And then you also serve the fitness, the brick and mortar.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we started in the boutique world because that was just our network.
That's what you guys were doing for yourself.
That's who we knew. And a lot of people are running challenges or they're doing front end offers. And we found that most gyms onboarding process just is not very good. And so they sign a new client up and then it's like, okay, good luck. Your next session is Tuesday at 8 a.m. And if you think about from the psychology of the person actually coming to a gym, a lot of people joining a gym, especially a new gym, they're not like us, right? They're not gym people, and they don't just live and breathe this stuff. Like, they're just normal people, and they want to lose a little bit of weight or they want to get in shape. And the gym can be a really, really scary place. And so if we all of a sudden just sign someone up and say, hey, we'll see you on Tuesday, there's a gap there where we could provide a better experience. So how we coach a lot of brick and mortars, boutique facilities, is to create an onboarding process for them. And they do it all through the app. So on the day after you meet with someone, put them on this program. And on day one, it's like, hey, I just want to thank you for coming in, and we're really excited for you. I know it's going to be a little scary when you come to the facility, but hey, I want to walk you through our facility quick. And they actually take a video tour of the facility so the client knows exactly what to expect when they come in. Hey, when you come in, this is where you put your bag. This is where you put your stuff. If you need to fill up your water bottle, you can do it right here. Here's what our gym floor looks like. So when you come in, just hang out here. One of the coaches is going to come meet you. And so we can get rid of some of that uncertainty and just provide a really cool experience for that person from the moment they walk in. And so that's the kind of the biggest one we want coaches to start with, or gyms to start with. The second thing is we're seeing the industry evolve from more than just fitness.
Yes.
Right? People aren't just going to get workouts anymore. They're coming to us and like, hey, I need help with stress. Hey, I need help with nutrition. Hey, I need help with
sleep.
All these kind of factors. And most gyms aren't equipped to do that because that happens outside of the facility. Yeah, we can talk about it during sessions and that kind of stuff, which is great. But that's the same thing their doctor is doing. Hey, you're fat, you need to lose weight. Or hey, you're not sleeping, you should take these pills or whatever. And so, but we have technology now that can allow coaches to be with their clients outside. And why we created Coach Catalyst. And then you can create these kind of lifestyle programs that aren't the $299 a month. They're the $900 a month because you're solving a bigger problem. And you can really start to create higher ticket offerings, but you just use the gym as your delivery model and why people show up every couple times a week.
We talked to was Scott Carpenter. We were talking about that is, the offering is far more than just a workout program nowadays. And to your point, like people are, it's becoming the trend for people realizing a fitness facility or a gym has the ability to address sleep and stress, and some of them are starting to adapt that. You know what I mean? So the gyms that can embrace that and be ahead of that and make that the direction that they're going, they're going to get the wins right away.
What's nice about this conversation is right in line with what we feel on this program as well as our gym. And what people that are in this industry right now that might be new, they don't realize what you're saying is that's a 10-year problem. Like, you don't realize some of these things until you're 10, 5, 7 years into the business. Like, crap, our onboarding sucks. We'll take it from, Trevor and, the guy in us that like, look, you should jump ahead of this, get on board with this, get a system in place, because a lot of times you don't realize there's a problem until you start losing people, you start analyzing it. Why are we losing people? Well, we just kind of threw them into the workouts. We didn't really tell them what to expect. So I like the video aspect of it. And then to the other side of it, it's right in alignment with everybody's selling fitness, right? So how do you have a competitive advantage against the person, the gym down the street? You offer all these other things and charge more for it.
And it's like, what market do you want to compete in, right? Do you want to compete in the Planet Fitness, that market, and now you're a low-cost provider, so now let's figure out how to do it for less? Or do you want to go to the other end of the spectrum and honestly, I like the other end of the spectrum, just be the most expensive in your market, right? Because you serve the correct problems. And so that world you can live in with less clients, more profit, better margins, and people stick because like if they can pay that much and afford that much, they can afford gym membership, and so they're going to stay with you for a really, really long time versus competing with the person that has to kind of like, you know, they have to fit it into their budget in order to make it
their
work.
Sacrifice to barely get by. Well, and there's the psychology aspect of investing something like a high ticket program or all in, you know what I mean? Like they have the skin in the game. They're way more
they're going to get better results.
100%.
Oh,
exactly.
Absolutely. The one thing I think that, you know, happens to a lot of gym owners is they start as a solo practitioner, right? So they do everything. And so all of their systems just kind of, because the reason they grow is because they're a great coach. Like they know how to provide good service. They know how to run great sessions. And so they're able to grow, but then they get to a point where they have to bring people on, but they don't have any good systems to pass along. And so they just kind of think that every other coach is just like them and they're going to do it, like just do it well. And it's just not the case. Like that's just not how people are. If the other coaches were like them, they would go start their own gyms, right? And so,
well, they will. Just give them time.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have fun with that. But
so, like having those systems and having the process where, like, how we coach our people is like, hey, if you have like a 7-day onboarding, cool. You can then take that, give it to your other coach. It's going to be the exact same onboarding, and now I don't have to rely on that other coach to maybe follow the checklist to do this or that. We can utilize technology to provide a lot of these experiences and free up the coach to just like coach the client, be in the session, and create a great experience.
And it's a system. That's the thing. Like the variables between coaches too. I mean that is, it's controlled by the brand at that point, right? Everybody's now executing the vision of the brand as opposed to, hey, this coach is great at accountability in this manner. This person can't do it for damn.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this way, everybody has a standard across the board, and it's a solid, you know, way of doing it, and anybody can adapt it. That's huge.
Yep.
Huge.
For sure. So let's talk Growth Summit for a second. You're a vendor. You're going to have a booth there. You're going to be showing people the app so they can get their hands on it, I'm sure. But you're speaking too, which is huge because I've never seen you speak at an event, right? I've just been introduced to you over a couple of mutual friends. So what can people expect? Trevor on stage dropping bombs.
So I haven't decided on the topic yet. It's probably going to be one of two things. So we've had over 15,000 coaches inside of Coach Catalyst. And so when you have that big of a data set, you're going to learn a few things of like, what are the best coaches doing? What are the things that they execute on? And what are the top 1% doing versus the bottom 5%? And so we've learned a lot of things about coaches there. So that's either one. The other one that might be more specific to gym owners is leverage. And so I've come up with about 5 different levers you have as a gym owner that you can really turn. Like if you use the lever correctly, you can have disproportionate results. And so there's some fun ones there that I've kind of done along the way that have really driven revenue, driven experience. And so if you're pulling the right levers, you're going to have much better results than if you're pulling the wrong levers. And so there's certain things in the brick and mortar world that you have access to that the online world doesn't have access to. So we'll probably decide between one of those two.
Well, that's huge because most of our audience is brick and mortar. Yeah, I mean, I would say 100% are brick and mortar, but they may also toy in the online world too. And so the levers of growth, the whole point of the summit's the growth summit. Yeah. Everything we do at this event, guys, from selecting the vendors and the speakers, it's for growth. We talk about
business growth, not just not to cut you off, but it's not the tech side of the physique. We're not talking about the latest and greatest kettlebell swings, and no, we're going to grow your P&L.
Right.
Yeah, which is the hard part for a lot of practitioners. Like you mentioned, they're great coaches.
Yep.
And sometimes coaches and even gym owners that come from the training world, they gravitate towards the certifications, the lessons of the physical, like the movements and everything there. And they kind of like avoid the hard conversations, the hard things just because it's just not natural.
Right.
So this is the exact reason why you should be at the front row of the Growth Summit.
Absolutely.
Is so you can learn and tweak your business, because the more money you make, guys, money's okay. The more people you can serve, obviously.
Right. The more lives you're going to change.
And your levers analogy is a perfect example for the Growth Summit and like where to put your time and attention in growing a business, right? You can sit here in comfort and pull the lever of the tactician all day long, and your business is not going to get any better, grow any more.
Right.
The concepts, the sales, the marketing, the conversation, the experience, all of that stuff is going to actually impact your business's growth.
Right. We only have so much time in the day, right? And most people are doing it all, especially a young gym owner and so it's like, what are the best uses of your time? What is something where I input 1 and I get 10 versus inputting 1 and getting 1 back, right? There are certain things that we can do that are going to get exponential return. And so if we focus on those, we can get to where we want to go faster.
Perfect.
Right?
I see no better topic than that
one.
All right,
it's been decided.
There you go.
All right, I like it.
And it's right. I mean, I have calls with coach. We do coaching for the business model and systems within a gym. I talk to gym owners all the time, and most of them are sitting in that seat. I mean, hell, I literally had a call with a guy a week and a half ago, and he goes, I finally got off the training floor, but I show up to my gym and I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And so, like we were talking about earlier, like looking at the systems of the business, writing an SOP or implementing a system that everybody can adapt to. That's the stuff that is going to grow the business. That's the stuff as a business owner you should be focused on. It's not gravitating back to where we're comfortable and showing up on the training floor again.
One thing on that too that I think a lot of coaches get wrong is we feel like gym ownership is like the pinnacle of this kind of career.
Sure.
Right? This isn't the corporate world where there's a ladder, I'm a assistant VP and then I'm a VP. Like there's not this clear path, right? So a lot of coaches think that gym ownership is the path or is the pinnacle of the path, which is like, well, okay, if you go from being the best coach in the gym to the owner of the gym, your roles change completely. And I think a lot of people do that shift because they think that's the next step, but then they realize like, you know what? Like, I just want to be a really good coach. Like, I don't want to have to worry about hitting payroll every month and all those kind of things. So I think a big piece of it is understanding like, who am I and what do I want? And if you are a great practitioner, go find a great operator and build a kick-ass business. And you both are going to make a ton of money and do a lot of good in the world. And so don't just think that, okay, the only way I can get to the top is to own the gym, because that takes a completely different skill set, and it's going to take away some time. So you just have to be really clear about what it is that you want. And then the other thing is bigger is not always better. That's something I ran into really early on. Is like, okay, cool, growth at all costs. Just get bigger, just get more clients, get this or that. Where it's like, okay, what if we just change the business model and you made more money per client? You actually have less clients, you have less headache, you have less overhead, you have bigger profit margins.
I would laugh. This is like, it's like you're just every other episode of ours is like right here in one episode. It's so much in alignment with our beliefs and the way we think about it.
It's great. It's all great points. So, I mean, I'm excited to see you there.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
This is coming up real quick. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, growthsummitaz.com is where you're going to want to go. Trevor will be there as well as, a dozen other vendors and speakers. It's going to be a great event, guys. So Trevor, thank you. Thanks for flying in, coming in off the farm to do this. But that's it for this episode, guys. Until next show, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
All right. And thank you for listening to that episode of the Built to Grow podcast, where we help gym owners win. Now, do you want to connect with me and other gym owners online? All you need to do is join our private Facebook group, Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. Just head on over to Facebook and type in Business Talk with Fitness Professionals. And when you do, we're going to give you our 10 marketing strategies 7-figure gym owners use to win. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, keep building something great.